Hi, this is Kendall Boyson, professional life and recovery coach, and you're listening to Encouragementology, the practice of instilling hope. Hi there. Thanks for joining me. On this show, we're talking about speaking life, how the words we use both out loud and in our heads can either drain our energy or feed our strength. Have you ever noticed how quickly one negative thought can spiral into an entire mood? One complaint, one worry, or one what if, and before you know it, you're swimming in tension and exhaustion. It's wild how something as simple as language can shape how we feel, think, and even heal. I've always believed that we're more powerful than we realize. The body, mind, and spirit are in constant conversation with one another. Every thought sends a message. Every word carries weight. And when we speak life, when we choose words of hope, belief, and gratitude, we set off a chain reaction toward peace and restoration. I'm not saying life suddenly becomes easy, or that we can positive think our way out of every challenge. But I do believe that we can rise above chaos and confusion by intentionally choosing the voice we let lead. We've all seen what happens when negativity takes over. Worry turns into anxiety, anxiety into stress, and stress into physical strain. Cortisol spikes, sleep suffers, and our patience runs thin. It's like our entire system is on alert, reacting to a story we keep repeating, even if that story isn't true. But what if we flip the script? What if we started calling life as we want to see it, not ignoring reality, but speaking possibility into it? There's a fine line between being honest about what's happening and being captive to it. You can acknowledge the storm and still believe in the sun. That's what speaking life is all about. Setting your internal thermostat instead of being the thermometer that just reacts to everything around you. Choosing peace even when the world feels loud. Trusting your resilience, your purpose, your ability to heal. So as we explore this idea together, I want you to think about the language you use with others, but especially with yourself. Is it helping you rise or holding you back? Is it creating calm or fueling chaos? Because sometimes the first step to healing isn't another prescription or plan. It's changing the conversation within. Let's get into what speaking life really means. At its simplest, it's the practice of using words that build, encourage, and affirm. Words that support healing instead of harm. It's about speaking to yourself the way you'd speak to someone you love, someone who's having a hard time. We all have that internal narrator, the voice that either cheers us on or tears us down. And the truth is, the voice doesn't just stay in our heads. It shapes our emotions, our relationships, and even our biology. According to researchers at the University of Wisconsin, when people engage in self-affirming language, their brains actually release dopamine, a chemical tied to motivation and reward. In contrast, constant negative self-talk keeps the brain in a low-grade threat response, raising cortisol and suppressing immune function. So those passing thoughts of, I can't do this, or I'm not enough, aren't harmless. They're messages your body takes seriously. I find it fascinating that science keeps catching up to what wisdom traditions have said for centuries. Proverbs 18:21 says, "The tongue has the power of life and death." Whether or not you come from a faith background, that's a powerful truth. Our words plant seeds, and what we water will grow. If you're always speaking in fear or frustration, that's the atmosphere your body and mind are trying to survive in. But if you start speaking in faith, hope, and gratitude, you create an environment where healing and peace can take root. Louise Hay, one of the early voices in self-healing, once said, "Every thought we think and every word we speak is creating our future." She believed that our inner dialogue could literally reprogram the body toward balance. Modern psychology echoes that in a concept of cognitive reframing, changing the way you talk to yourself so you can see challenges in a new light. Think about how often we unknowingly curse our own progress. "I'm so tired. I'll never get ahead. I can't catch a break." Those phrases might feel small, but they shape our reality. The opposite is also true. "I'm learning. I'm healing. I'm doing my best." Those aren't just feel-good phrases. They're bridges to a calmer, stronger, more hopeful state of being. Speaking life isn't pretending everything's perfect. It's recognizing that the way we speak can either reinforce fear or release faith. It's the difference between reacting to life and partnering with it. Let's pause for a moment and check in with that inner voice. The one that's been narrating your day so far. What has it been saying? Has it been kind, patient, encouraging? Or has it been critical, doubtful, or demanding? Most of us don't realize how loud our inner language has become until we stop to listen. Try this. Imagine you're sitting across from someone you love. Maybe your child, a friend, or even your younger self. Now, repeat out loud the words you've said to yourself today. Would you say them the same way? Would you soften them? Would you add a little grace? It's not about guilt, it's about awareness. Because awareness is where transformation begins. When you start to hear the tone of your inner dialogue, you gain the power to redirect it. You can catch a phrase like, "I can't handle this," and replace it with, "I'm learning to handle this." That small shift may seem subtle, but it changes how your body feels and how your mind reacts. Here's another exercise. Take a deep breath and think of a situation in your life that's been causing you stress. Maybe a relationship strain, a health issue, or something uncertain about your future. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself speaking life into that situation. What would it sound like? Maybe it's, "I will find my footing. This is temporary." Or, "I'm growing stronger through this." Say it out loud. Feel the difference in your body when you speak those words. Notice the softening in your shoulders, the slower rhythm of your breath. That's not magic. That's your nervous system responding to safety, trust, and hope. Every time you choose a life-giving word, you signal to your brain and body that you're safe, capable, and moving forward. And here's the best part. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You start catching yourself in the act of speaking life. You start believing your own encouragement. So take a moment today, maybe while driving, walking, or winding down tonight, to simply listen. Tune in to that steady hum of thoughts and start swapping out the noise for words that give you life. Now that we've explored what it means to speak life, let's talk about how to live it, because awareness without action just sits there. To really experience the shift, you have to practice new habits of thought and language until they become your natural rhythm. Here are a few simple but powerful ways to start. Number 1, start the morning by setting your tone. Before your feet hit the floor, speak something life-giving into your day. It doesn't have to sound profound, just intentional. Try, "Today I will look for the good," or "I'm calm, capable, and grateful." The first words you say in the morning act like tuning notes for your mind. They set your inner frequency. Number 2, replace reaction with reflection. When something triggers frustration, notice the first thought that rises up and take a breath before you give it words. Ask yourself, does this thought feed peace or fuel chaos? The pause is your power. You don't have to deny what's happening, but you can choose the language that frames it. Instead of "this is a disaster," try "this is a challenge I can handle." Instead of "I can't stand this," say "I'm finding my way through this." Over time, those small edits transform your emotional landscape. Number 3, speak gratitude before complaint. Our brains are wired to scan for threats, so gratitude takes conscious effort. Before you list what's wrong, name one thing that's right. "I'm grateful for a body that still wakes me up in the morning." "I'm thankful for one person who believes in me." Gratitude doesn't ignore pain. It balances the scale. It reminds your body that there is still beauty and goodness at play. Number 4, watch your inner rehearsal. We all have imaginary conversations with people, rehearsing what we'll say, defending our side, predicting how they'll react. Those internal monologues can drain you before the real moment ever happens. Instead, visualize calm, grace, and understanding. Speak peace into the scenario instead of anxiety. When you eventually walk into that situation, your energy will match what you've been practicing. Number 5, end your day with release. Before bed, speak forgiveness to yourself, to others, to the day itself. Try, "I did my best with what I had," or "I release what I can't control tonight." Let your words be a signal to your body that it's safe to rest. These aren't just motivational phrases, they're rewiring tools. Every time you replace a word of fear with one of faith, you shift your body's chemistry towards calm and balance. You remind yourself that you're not a victim of circumstance. You're an active participant in how you experience life. And remember, speaking life doesn't mean ignoring the hard stuff. It means believing that even in the hard stuff, there's something working for your good, something healing, guiding, strengthening, and preparing you for what's next. The A side of speaking life is inspiring. Choose your words, shape your world, focus on the good. It's the song we want on repeat. But the B side, that's where the harder truth plays. Because sometimes speaking life feels unnatural. It feels forced. It feels like you're pretending to be okay when you're anything but. And that's the part we don't talk about enough. There's a quiet pressure in today's world to be relentlessly positive, to find the silver lining before we've even processed the storm. But to speak life doesn't mean you have to deny pain or fake joy. It's not about ignoring what's wrong. It's about refusing to let what's wrong define the whole story. I think we get tripped up because we confuse authenticity with agreement. We assume that if we acknowledge hurt, we're surrendering to it. But that's not true. You can speak honestly about what hurts while still believing in healing. You can name what's broken without letting it become your identity. Sometimes speaking life looks less like cheerful optimism and more like quiet endurance. It's getting out of bed when you'd rather stay under the covers. It's whispering, "I'm still here," when that's all the strength you have. It's not a performance, it's perseverance. I've learned that it's okay if your words of life start out shaky. Maybe you don't fully believe them yet, and that's fine. You're planting seeds, not picking fruit. Faith-filled words often come before faith-filled feelings. That is a mouthful that I need to say again. Faith-filled words often come before faith-filled feelings. The key is consistency. The more you speak them, the more they become part of your truth. The B side reminds us that speaking life isn't a one-time declaration. It's a daily decision. It's speaking light into dark places, even when your voice trembles. It's choosing to see the flicker of hope and fanning it gently until it grows. So, if you're in a season where your energy feels low and your words of life sound hollow, don't give up. You're still tuning your soul to a higher frequency. Keep speaking life. Not because everything's perfect, but because you believe it can be better. The A side is the melody everybody knows, but the B side, that's where the deeper tracks live. There's an old story about two gardeners who were given identical plots of land. Both were dry, rocky, and covered in weeds. The first gardener took one look and sighed, "This will never grow." He pulled a few weeds half-heartedly, poured a little water on the hard soil, and left. Day after day, she came back, shaking her head and muttering, "Nothing will ever come of this." The second gardener stood on her patch of earth and said something different. She didn't deny what she saw, the rocks, the dry soil, the weeds, but she spoke to what could be. "There's life under here somewhere," she said softly. "I just have to help it find the light." Every day she dug, watered, and spoke words of encouragement to the tiny seeds she planted. Weeks passed, and from the road, both gardens still looked bare. People laughed, saying, "You're wasting your time." But she kept speaking life. "Something good is growing, even if I can't see it yet." Then one morning, the first sprout broke through the soil. Just a fragile green thread of life. The gardener smiled and whispered, "I knew you were in there." The story goes that years later, her garden was overflowing with color and life. The other plot remained barren, choked by weeds and disbelief. The difference wasn't the soil, it was the speech. When we speak life, we plant hope in barren places. We water potential instead of despair. Our words may not produce instant results, but they prepare the ground. And sometimes The most miraculous growth begins underground, where only faith can see it. So if your garden looks empty right now, keep tending to it. Speak gently. Believe in what's unseen, because the words you speak today might be the roots of something beautiful tomorrow. Let's take this from theory to personal reflection. Grab your journal or just a quiet moment and think through these prompts. Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about honesty and curiosity. The goal is to uncover how you're speaking to yourself and where there's room to bring in more light. One, what story am I telling myself right now? Every thought we repeat becomes a part of a story about who we are, what's possible, and what we deserve. Where did this story begin, and who helped write it? Which parts of it feel heavy, limiting, or untrue? How might you rewrite one paragraph of that story today to include hope or healing? 2, what does it mean for me to speak life in this season? Think about the circumstances, relationships, or challenges that fill your mind right now. Where are you tempted to speak in fear or frustration? What would it sound like to speak in faith, patience, or gratitude instead? How could that shift change how you feel or how you show up? Three, how do I nurture my inner voice? We all have an internal dialogue that sets the tone for our days. The question is, are you feeding it or fighting it? What words or phrases do you hear most often from yourself? Which ones give you strength and which ones steal your peace? What's one affirmation or truth you want to start practicing daily to reframe your mindset? Take your time with these. Let your words be gentle, not judgmental. Speaking life is a practice, not a performance, and journaling is one of the safest places to start. If you want to dig deeper, check out the 5-day journaling companion available in the show notes. When you really think about it, speaking life is more than a habit of positive thinking. It's an act of creation. Every word we speak builds something, an atmosphere, an expectation, a belief. Whether it's words of encouragement to someone else or quiet affirmations we whisper to ourselves, each one is a building block. The question becomes, what are you building? We've learned that words aren't just emotional, they're biological. They change our chemistry. They influence our stress levels or immune responses. Even the way our brain rewires itself to expect, hope, or fear. It's incredible to realize that we can participate in our own healing just by being intentional with what we speak. And speaking life doesn't mean denying the hard stuff. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about honesty with perspective. You can tell the truth about your struggle while still choosing to believe in your strength. You can say, I'm hurting, and still hold space for, but I'm healing. That's not denial. That's balance. When you speak life, you're saying yes to growth before you can see it. You're choosing to nurture peace over panic. You're deciding that your words will light the path forward instead of echoing the darkness behind you. That's not naive. It's brave. It takes real courage to stay hopeful in a world that constantly reminds you to worry. We talked earlier about the thermostat versus thermometer, and I keep coming back to that. The thermometer reacts to whatever temperature it's in, but the thermostat sets the tone. Speaking life is about setting the tone in your home, your relationships, your thoughts, and your health. It's choosing to bring calm where chaos once ruled. If you take one thing away, remember, you are not powerless in the face of stress and negativity. You have the ability to reframe, to breathe, to speak peace over your own life. Even when everything feels uncertain, you can still choose the language of hope. You can remind yourself, I'm doing my best. I'm learning. I'm stronger than I was yesterday. Remember the story of the two gardeners, both standing in the same rocky soil, but only one saw potential. The soil didn't change. The speech did. You can do the same. You can look at your life as it is and still choose to speak to what it could become. So, as you go about your week, notice your words. Listen for the subtle tone of your thoughts. Catch yourself when you speak defeat and gently rewrite it into determination. When you speak fear, replace it with faith. When you speak doubt, replace it with curiosity. Every word counts. You are designed with a remarkable ability to heal body, mind, and soul. And one of the simplest, most profound tools you have is your voice. So use it wisely. Speak life into your day, your relationships, and your reflection in the mirror. If you want to share encouragementology with a friend who needs to know they're not alone in this journey of self-discovery, you can visit encouragementology.com or anywhere you stream your content to receive this episode and all others. Check out the show notes for the 5-day journaling companion and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for additional encouragement throughout the week. So I challenge you, be intentional with your words this week. Speak life into every situation, into your thoughts, your relationships, and your dreams. When negativity creeps in, stop at mid-sentence and choose words that reflect faith, hope, and healing instead. Let your language lead your life in the direction you want to grow. I know you can do it. Thank you for listening to Encouragementology with Kendall Boyson, where we find positive ways to handle some of life's challenges.
I stumbled through until the path was clear. That's when I found you and how I wound up here. All I needed was a rock that I could lean on. All you needed was some wind beneath your wings. We might be seeing things from different points of view, but that don't mean a thing. You and I, we were meant to be. I was made for you, you were made for me.